Like the Colby fight is a great example of what Usman does and what he does best is he sits in the pocket.
He's the champ. It wasn't even, it's not like a thing, he's defending champ. You could have played it safer than that. I just really didn't like Colby, did he?
Yeah,
So
he said in the
destroyed his jaw.
Yeah, he destroyed that jaw. And when all else fails, he goes to his wrestling. But what he doesn't get credit for is his clinch work. His clinch work and his knees. God, I wouldn't like to hit one of them.
So here's to the fighters, the fans and the game. Here's to the blood, sweat and tears and the fame. And here's to Az and Key, you ready to go on the Brutally Honest MMA show.
Welcome back to the Brutally Honest MMA show. I'm Az and this is Key. How are you doing, Key?
How's it going, Az? All good, buddy?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Not too bad. So we've got a lot to talk about this week. It's Usman versus Burns. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Excited for it. I mean, I think Usman gets, weirdly, I think he gets some bad press. I think that. He had that one pretty boring fight, didn't he? Where it was like the Masvidal one, where it's just like he basically just stopped him from doing anything. But he was dominant. He was dominant. He was doing the right thing. But other than that, he absolutely mauled Woodley.
Yeah.
The Colby fight, that wasn't a boring fight. That was proper. That was hatred there. It's like I don't understand that the negative.
Yeah, I don't. Because I think you saw what I wrote, didn't you, about Usman? Everyone's writing him off, and they're sleeping on him a bit. But I think he's one of the best welterweight champions. In fact, I think he's one of the best champions in the UFC right now. And like the Colby fight is a great example of what Usman does and what he does best is he sits in the pocket. Like there's not many fighters who sit in the pocket and go back and forth with striking when he's not a striker.
Yeah. He's the champ. It wasn't even, it's not like a thing, he's defending champ. You could have played it safer than that. I just really didn't like Colby, did he?
Yeah,
So
he sat in the pocket and they're trading jab for jab. And the first round, I'd say, was probably it was leaning towards Colby, but then he adapted and he stood in the pocket and he was beating Colby in the striking.
Destroyed his jaw.
He destroyed that jaw. And when all else fails, he goes to his wrestling. But what he doesn't get credit for is his clinch work. His clinch work and his knees. God, I wouldn't like to hit one of them. Some of the best clinch work in MMA that I've seen, and he gets, like you're saying, I don't get where this...
But do you know what he says? I think
Go on.
Everyone saw the Masvidal, like the build-up, and everyone loves Masvidal for everything what he does.
Yeah.
As in, he's funny, he's a funny guy, you don't know what he's going to say, and you don't know what he's going to do, and he completely took anything, what was a good strength to Masvidal, he just nulled it, didn't he? And he was just he just shut it down. Now, I was saying to my brother, it was like, oh, it's Usman and Burns on the weekend and stuff, having a natter. He's like, yeah, he's boring though, isn't he, Usman? And I was like, it got me thinking, I'm like, no, he's fucking not boring.
No, he's not.
What are you basing that on? It's like, but he does. A lot of people, like my brother, he isn't a big UFC fan, but that's what he sees from there. And I think that's the same. I think for people who don't know him as much, I think they just assume he's sort of got this boring status, and he isn't.
Yeah.
It's like,
he isn't. He's far from it. And I think there's two things at play here. So there's a lot of it, I think, stems back from the Colby fight when Colby and him were going back and forward. Colby always kept saying he was Marty fake newsman. He's boring. He's a boring fighter. And I think a lot of people have seen that and thought, oh, Colby might be right. Colby might be right. I won't watch this fight, but I'll just listen to this guy. You're like, yeah. Okay, he must be boring. I haven't seen him fight, but he must be if this guy says so.
And then he just completely judged everything off what Colby said.
And then they watched the Masvidal fight.
And then it sort of does play up to him. Yeah. But you can't. I mean, the guy's destroyed his previous 10 opponents, and he did a job on Masvidal. I mean, he completely shut anything down what Masvidal could do. So it's like you've got to praise him in a way for that,
and people forget that fight was on short notice, not just for Masvidal, but for Usman. So that game plan that he had for Burns, it would be completely different for a guy like Masvidal. They're two different fighters. And
yeah, they are.
You can't knock Usman for going in with this. It was a very safe game plan. I thought, and like we're saying, I think he implied the right game plan for that fight. Like,
Khabib doesn't get slammed for it. Khabib does a lot of the same, and he goes down as like the greatest wrestler ever, doesn't he?
Khabib's so much worse. Like, he just goes for he's basically Ben Askren of the lightweight division, and he's basically like,
as soon as they start, it's like, I'm getting you down, and then I'm doing it. It's like that, like immediately looking for it. At least Usman does mix it up a little bit. Khabib gets labelled a genius for it. Usman gets labelled boring, and he doesn't do it all the time. It's like he barely do it. He dominated Woodley in that, but he does his stand up as well. It's fucking harsh on him.
He has got a good stand up. Like, he's the definition of what I would call an MMA fighter. He's good and he's great at one thing, but then he's good at so much, everything else. Like, so.
Yeah, do you want to go down? Okay, then I'll wrestle. You want to stand up? Yeah, okay, I'll strike with you. It's like whatever you want to do. Bit of clinch work, yeah, right, let's do that. It's like he'll beat you anywhere, won't he? It doesn't matter.
He will beat most fighters anywhere. And the thing is, Burns is a great fighter.
He is, and he's a good wrestler as well. So
he's a good wrestler. It's an interesting matchup. But I do think Usman is just elite. I think he doesn't get enough credit, but he is like on that next level, like John Jones and Khabib. I really do think he's that good. But not taking anything away from Burns, but I just don't think Burns is elite. I think he's a great fighter. I just don't think he's elite.
Burns has looked good. I mean, he beat Woodley, didn't he? But Woodley's sort of gone down on the recline, and he dominated. He dominated Woodley. Burns, it looks like he is a top fighter. He is a top fighter, and he's an ex-teammate as well. They were teammates, weren't they, Burns and Usman?
Yeah. I mean, they were good friends at one point, weren't they? So it's interesting. I'm just pulling up Burns' last couple of fights. So he fought Damian Maia, Gunnar Nelson. The last time he lost was against Danuka in the lightweight division. Then,
but he stepped up though, and since he stepped up, he's looked a different. Like, it's weird. Like, sometimes, like, these fighters, they want get lower in weight and think that they'll be big in that weight division. They're better. Some of them are better when they just step up, aren't they? And they're just comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, I think definitely the case with Burns. Burns has been a different kettle of fish since he's won every fight, hasn't he, since he's moved up the weight to welter.
I think he's had 4 fights at welter.
And it's like dominance.
I think this is the pressing need though, where for this 165 division, because even a lot of fighters have mentioned it lately. They're still going on about it because look at the fighters that are in between. Like Cerrone, he's flip-flopped from lightweight to welterweight. Conor McGregor, Khabib, he's missed weight a number of times. Oliveira's missed weight a number of times, and because they try and get down to lightweight, and there's that division is needed. And I don't care what Dana White says, you're wrong on this one, mate. But you need that 165 division because you're missing a trick. That these fighters, like Petty's had to move up to welterweight, and look at the guy, he's tiny, but he beat Thompson.
Yeah,
he looked great in that fight. But against someone like Usman, someone who's got the wrestling, you just go more someone like Pettis at that weight. So
they will, because they'll be a lot bigger in it. So
the grapplers are always going, outweigh any striker in that division. But that's why we need the 165. I think it's needed. It's a long time coming, and I don't get why Dana White's so adamant against this.
It is, because what you got to think is as well, it's another belt. Now, what do you love? You watch your fight nights and stuff like that, but you can't beat a good title fight, can you? So if you open up a new division, then you've got it there. You've got you can make another belt, and you can go for that, and it makes it more exciting. You can make a fight night turn into a UFC.
Yeah,
can't you? The difference.
And what else could you open the door for? Triple champions.
Yeah, triple C's. Yeah,
between the 155, the 165, and the welterweight, you know, and even the 145, 155, and 165. Between those
there's
four
motivation
weights,
there, isn't there? Yeah.
there's motivation for that you know, that 3-time champion, and there's plenty of fighters that could make all those weights. Like I'd say. Yeah, I'd say Connor's good. Nate's a good example. He could make all three of those weights. Although
it's the skinny ones, it's the tall skinny ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who basically they can sort of just jump up and go into the other weights. So it's like Olivier and people like that. He would easily go through them weights.
Yeah. So other facts on the card. Gastelum's back. Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, I think this is a do or die fight for him at the moment.
I do, yeah. I think he's mentioned that, to be honest with you. He's come off the back of a bit, and he has mentioned something like this. I think he's really up for this fight. At one point, he was looking unbeatable.
Yeah, I know.
He was looking really good.
Even the Adesanya fight, he lost, but it was a war. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's no injustice of losing that fight, because it was probably fight of the year. It was immense. I loved that fight. It was one of my favorite fights of that year. But since then,
it was there. He was on. I think he might have been for when he fought Whittaker. When they were the tough. They were the captains on Tough, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then Whittaker beat him. And Gastelum ended up beating Bisping in that fight. You remember when Bisping just lost his title?
Oh, yeah.
To St. Pierre. And then
Calvin.
His next fight was very soon after. That was his last fight. That was Bisping's last ever fight, that was.
Yeah.
And then Gastelum won them. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, he's I don't know if it's his size what works sort of against him. And you know, he's like a mini DC, in a way.
Yeah,
he's the shape of him and stuff.
He's a small welterweight, he's a big welterweight, but he's a small middleweight.
Has he fought Till?
Yeah,
did he fight Till, Gastelum?
Just brought up his record now. So after the Adesanya fight, he then went on to lose to Darren Till in a split decision, which I think that was quite harsh as well.
Yeah,
you know,
a close one.
So off the back of, he beat Bisping, then he beat Jacare, then he had a close decision loss to Adesanya, then he had a close split decision loss to Till, which, you know, you could argue that was neither near nor there, and then the submission, I think, was the biggest thing against Jack Manson. I mean, I don't know if you remember that. He got caught, it was a stupid heel that, you know, he didn't even, it was like he didn't even attempt to.
Yeah, it was insane. And he just dropped, did he? It was weird, wasn't it, that?
Yeah, it was
weird.
It was almost like he didn't defend it. And then I think he was thinking, oh, he's not going to get me with it. And then, and he ended up getting caught. And then, I don't know. That was a weird one.
He's a talented guy, though, man. I think he's a great odds for Gastelum this weekend. I think Gastelum's going to win.
I do think he's going to win, and if he doesn't, I hope he doesn't get cut, because I know it's 4 losses in a row, but I feel like at least 2 of those losses are not losses. And
it's Adesanya's and people he's not fighting bums. Yeah, fair enough. He got caught with that heel hook. That shouldn't have happened, so scrap that one off. But other than that, you know, he's not fighting bums, is he?
You know what? If you look at his record and some of the fighters that he's fought, like Uriah Hall, Tyron Woodley, Jake Allenberger, Nate Marquette, and Neil Magny, Johnny Hendricks, Tim Kennedy, Balfour, Chris Weidman, Bisping, Jacare, Adesanya, Till, and Manson. It's like death row, isn't it?
I know, it's insane. That is,
he's not had easy fights anywhere in his career. He's not had easy fights. He's fought the best of the best, and so I hope he wins. I'm looking forward to that fight.
I mean, you've got Macy Barber as well, haven't you? Who's on the card? Is she 20, 21 now? Is she something like that? Fucking hell, man! She's a right beast. She is, you know.
She's looking good. Yeah. She's looking good. I mean,
her elbows. So actually, you can guarantee the other person is going to be in an absolute war.
22. She's 22.
22.
22.
That's
I mean,
young girl.
Young
Undefeated.
Undefeated.
She's fought a few times in the UFC already. You know, she's coming on. She is, and like I say, she's fighting Grasso, isn't she?
What division's she in? Is it flyweight? Yeah, flyweight.
I mean, I can see her as like at her age now, how she's going through people without the fear. I mean, she's getting caught. She's been caught a few times as well. It's not like it's normally you need these young people just get a good crack, mate, and just see how they react because they've probably never been hit properly before.
Yeah, so
she has been hit properly. And she just walks through it. She stands in the pocket, toe to toe, swinging. She's brilliant watch. I love watching her. I do. So that's an exciting one.
Co-main event. I mean, it's funny. Like we were talking about the Gastelum fight, but he's not even. He's I think third or fourth on the card, and then the co-main event is Macy Barber. I mean, it's a really good card. It's a good lineup this weekend. I haven't seen who's on the prelims. I haven't had a look at it just quite yet. But, I mean, talking about the young stars, I mean, we've got Corey McKenna, who's just coming through. She's in the, I think, strawweight division of the women's strawweight division, 21. I mean, that's good rising star there for the Brits.
Did you watch the last fight, though?
It was, yeah, I know.
I don't think she won. They gave it to her. Fuck me, man. I don't think she won that fight.
It was a close one. It was close.
I always back whenever the Brits fight, and regardless of who we think's going to win, I'm always like, I'm backing the Brits. So I have a bit of money on them. Like not much, but I always like cheering them on that little bit extra. And I was watching that fight, and normally, I put a cross and I write them down because I don't watch it live. I always watch it the next morning and tick them off as I go.
Yeah,
as you know from when we used to be able to see each other as when we used to watch it together
before we started doing that.
and on the fight, on the Connor's fight, the last one, it went to the decision. I was like, because I had it just straight win, so the decision would have been fine.
Yeah.
And before they even read it out, before the commentator, before the announcer read it out, I already put a cross because I thought, she's lost that, and then all of a sudden they said. Like they gave her the decision, ended up taking it. So like wiped it off. I'm glad she did win. Me personally, I didn't think she won the fight, but there I know it is what it is. Like the judges scored it. I'm glad she did, but I don't think she did. But again, she was fighting a girl who was like dead young as well, wasn't she? That American.
I think it was. Yeah,
young. They both look dead good. I mean, there's loads of talent coming through in the women's, and they're looking good. They are.
It is looking great. Now, we've got a few dropouts that we need to talk about. So Ryan Hall's injured. He's out of his fight against
your boy. Your boy's out, Taz. Your boy's out.
I've been saying it's the year of the wizard, and the wizard has fallen at the first hurdle. I mean,
you're Ryan Hall, this. You're Ryan Hall. Sick about fucking hearing about it. Ryan Hall.
I know. Well, I've been talking about him like saying, he's been looking for a fight. He'll challenge anyone and all this, and he finally gets the fight, and he drops out. What are you doing to me, Ryan? And then other news, we've got Hamzat Chimaev, who's dropped out of the fight yet again with our boy Leon Edwards, and I'm really annoyed about this with the UFC. They've really pissed me off on this one, and I'll tell you why. Because Leon Edwards said the last time this happened when they cancelled but the last time it happened last year, he said, "Give me another fight and I'll still fight Chimaev for you." And they said no. They said no, you're fighting Chimaev. And he was saying, "But I won't fight. I haven't fought in so long. Give me anyone. I don't care who it is. Just give me a fight, but I'll still fight your boy, your little poster boy, Chimaev." Now, more than ever, I want Leon Edwards smash the out of him. I just want him to do him so bad. And it's a shame. I did like Chimaev, but it's making me angry how the UFC are treating him.
Yeah, but that's not Chimaev's fault, though.
Yeah, but
that's not Chimaev's fault. But it's an annoyance, and it's like,
I want Leon Edwards shut the UFC up now, because they've been pushing this guy because they think he's going to be the next big thing, and that's why they're pushing him. They want he's had 2 fights, and then they give him they're giving him these big shots. Like, what the hell? No one gets that. Like, no one gets that. Like, it's dead unfair.
It's the manner that wins. It is unfair to the other people. It's just the manner that wins. But I mean, they're taking Edwards' numbers off him, aren't they? That's what they were saying, because of how inactive Edwards has been. Now, Edwards has only been injured once. I know, that's what I'm saying.
It's crazy.
They shouldn't do that. There was one time, I think it was for him being injured. But like I say, all the other times, he's been after the fights and stuff. He's been scheduled for fights. You can't take numbers off the guy for not fighting when you're not giving him the fight.
They're not getting. Well, the Woodley fight, he couldn't make it to America, but he said, "Give me a fight in England," and he would have taken the England fight. He didn't want risk going over to America because it was the start of the quarantine, and when they were locking everywhere down, and bringing in all these restrictions, and he didn't want to go over to America in case he got stuck, and he'd be stuck in America, and his family would be on the side. I get that. I get that. Like, it's understandable. Yeah. Like,
you're in a pandemic, so you understand something like that.
But he said, "Bring someone. Like, I'll fight someone." Like, and they put that off, and then they started the old Chimaev thing, and they booked that so many times, and every time it got cancelled, he was saying, "Give me another fight. I'll fight anyone at this point." But good news is Wonderboy's offered stepping. I don't know whether Edwards will take that on a short notice.
That would be an amazing fight, because Wonderboy is looking on a different level at the moment.
Yeah, he has looked good.
He's looking some of the sharpest and best I've ever seen him, and he's fucking 38. He's meant to. I love watching Wonderboy. I love the guy, which is annoying because I want him to lose against Edwards, because Edwards is his Brit and we're back the Brits, don't we?
And he's only down the road as well. He's only from Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham. So it's like, it'll annoy me a bit that he's fighting Edwards, but it'd be a great fight. I think it's cracking back. But I mean, you've got me, if you're going into the octagon against a sharp Wonderboy, like someone who's striking is ridiculous, and he's looking sharp, and he's had he's been active as well. Now, if you're Edwards, surely he hasn't fought for so long. But he hasn't fought for so long, so I just think he's going to be that little bit. If you're a little bit behind, he's going to get caught with some spinning karate kick. Or I just don't fancy that fight for him, for Edwards, just because of how sharp Wonderboy's looking and the lack of activity what Edwards has.
Yeah, it is a dangerous fight. I mean, Wonderboy is dangerous. He's just a dangerous fighter. Never mind when he's looking, sharp and focused.
I mean, Edwards' record, is he on like 8-0 or something like that?
Something daft, yeah, something daft. But
I mean,
at this point,
his record's insane. But does that go out the window now?
Why?
Because it's been like 2 years. Does it go out the window? It's like, he was on a roll then, wasn't he? So it's like, I just think, is he going to be the same fighter when he goes? I hope he is. I hope he's the same and he can carry on the streak, because he's been working hard through the rankings. That's probably why he's pissed off with Chimaev, because Edwards has worked hard and got through the rankings and fought some people, and all of a sudden Chimaev's coming up and he's fucking, he could take his number 4 spot or number 5 spot, couldn't he? Just like
that. And like you say, 8 fights. He's worked hard to get where he is, and it's not through the want of trying. He's been trying to get these big fights and try and get the attention. And he's fought Usman before. Like, he's got 3 losses on his record, and since entering the UFC, he's got 2. One's against the champ.
Yeah,
not bad, is it?
It is what it is. Everyone loses to Usman, don't they?
Yeah,
Usman's 12-0 in UFC, so he's like,
it's not, yeah.
It's gutted, but it's the fact Chimaev got COVID, didn't he? And it was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while now.
The end of the year, and then they said he's out. He hasn't contracted it again. He just hasn't recovered from something. Don't make the fucking fight then. They shouldn't make that fight. And fighters getting the COVID after something's been announced, or getting it so close to a fight night or UFC. So if you're planning for fight and then a week before or 2 weeks before, you have to pull out due to COVID reasons. Well, that's fucking your fault for getting it. You shouldn't be getting it. You should be in isolation there.
I think they should be fined. I think they should fine them.
They shouldn't be out and about in the world, because they'll be thinking, oh, I've got put on a show. This is me livelihood. This is me money. I don't want to go out and catch anything. I want to make sure I'm fit and healthy for fight there. If it means training on my own, in my house, in isolation, just so there's no chance, there's no way, take all the possibility out of me catching it, then you do that. You do it. You've only got to do it for a few weeks, and then you get all the thousands what you're going to get.
Some fighters have as well. Some fighters have been doing that, and other fighters aren't, and it's frustrating. The whole Chimaev thing is very frustrating, because if I have a feeling that Chimaev has held information back from the UFC, and he's booked this fight again, and he's not disclosed something. I think that he's not disclosed, and it's getting closer, and he's thought, right, I'm not going to be recovered in time. I'm still not training yet. And they've had to say something, which is really frustrating. This is why I when Edwards does eventually fight him, he knocks him clean out, first round knockout, just puts him down. As much as I like Chimaev at one point, at this point, it's doom and nothing that he's getting favoured, and he probably is lying a little bit and deceiving the UFC, and I get why, but yeah, I hope our boy knocks him out.
It's just like, do you get excited now? When's the last test? What they do for the COVID, like going into a match? So say Usman Burns. When's the last time that they'll get tested?
I think it's on the.
Do they get tested on the day?
I don't know. I'm not sure,
because I'm struggling to get excited, because I feel like I'm going to wake up one morning. It's like, oh, they've pulled out, so they've got this makeshift fucking headline. Yeah. It's happened that many times before. That's why it pisses me off when they don't properly isolate when you're at like a main event and you're in the big, big time, aren't you? It's not like it's a little organisation and you can afford it. You're representing the UFC. You're being watched worldwide.
Exactly.
They shouldn't be coming down with anything. And if they are, it's on them.
And moving on from that, I don't know if you saw the Ariel Alwani interview with Nathan Diaz, as he likes to call him.
Nathan.
And interestingly, though, I learned something about this, right? Nate Diaz actually prefers to be called Nathan Diaz than he does to prefer to be called Nate Diaz. And everyone, because that's his name. He said, you know where Nate Diaz came from, don't you? He was saying that came from the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. And so everyone's always called him Nathan. They don't call him Nate. All his friends and family, they call him Nathan, not Nate Diaz. So interestingly, even the commentators, they call him Nate, and he prefers being called Nathan.
It's all get rid of a nickname now, though, isn't it?
I know.
Like you're known as Nate, aren't you? You're even known as Diaz because he's got a brother. If he didn't have his brother, if Nick wasn't about, then it could be Diaz. But because he's got a brother, you should go by the first one. So it's always just Nate, isn't it?
I thought that was quite interesting, though, because I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. No.
But that was quite interesting. But what I ask you now, watch that interview, everyone, because Nathan Diaz put in amazing words about his thoughts on the lightweight division, and he's clarified now once and for all that he doesn't want to move back down to lightweight. He'll fight at 165 or 170, but he's not fighting at lightweight. He's done with that division. If any of those fighters won't come up and fight him, he said he'd fight Oliveira or Poirier from that division. He still
Oliveira's already said no, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's already said no to that fight, but if not, he's sticking at welterweight. But it was a good interview, and what he was basically saying is he said, right, they were talking about the Conor McGregor thing, and Diaz was saying that he wishes in hindsight that after that first fight with McGregor, he'd have refused the second fight, and he'd have held his cards a bit better, because he was saying that that's what Khabib's doing now. He said that's exactly what Khabib's doing now. Is he says he learned from me, because what he's doing is what I should have done. he had the biggest fight that he could have, and then he's gone, oh, I'm just going to retire a little bit. I'm just going to retire on the biggest win of his, like two of the biggest wins of his career, the McGregor and then the Poirier and Gaethje fight. He's retired, and he's gone, I don't need to fight now. And he will come back. He's going to fight again, but
definitely
he wants the biggest fights that he can make. A bit like GSP's done the same, basically. He's gone, right.
Yeah, but it's been a lot longer. He was genuinely, he's like genuinely been retired, whereas I don't believe that Khabib is genuinely retired.
And to be fair, I don't think GSP is genuinely retired.
No, but he's very sparing though, isn't it? It's like, I mean, it's not. He's never in. I suppose he was in for a title fight because he beat Bisping, but he comes back. But I mean, how many fights has GSP fought in 10 years?
It's like one or whatever.
Yeah, it's not. So he's sort of retired, and he'll come out for something. But I think Khabib will be a lot more active than what GSP is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
That's what I'm sort of getting at.
I feel like he might have a year out and then come back, or 2 years out and come back. A bit like Floyd and Mayweather. He retired young, didn't he? And then he came back for his big fight.
And McGregor.
Well, McGregor.
That's how often he's fighting. That's like I say. They all have. Khabib's more active than Edwards.
Yeah. The problem is right. Is with McGregor, his style of fighting, he's someone who needs to be active. I think
he's got to stay sharp. Yeah.
He's got to stay sharp. I think strikers tend to need that more. Whereas I think with like wrestlers and people who like someone like Khabib or GSP. I feel like they can afford that. They can afford the time off.
I mean that's the fight, isn't it? Walter, Diaz and McGregor one. They have it the trilogy at Walter, which would suit both of them down to the ground really, and it'd be good tune-ups for both of them.
He's not interested. He said he's not interested in it just yet. He said he will one day. He said not yet. I think he's playing clever cards at the moment. I think he knows right now would be the worst time for him rematch McGregor, because McGregor's coming off 2 losses. He's coming off 2 losses, and if Diaz wins that third fight, it's not. Well, Khabib and Poirier.
No, a bit Cerrone.
Oh, Cerrone, yeah. So Cerrone, sorry. Forgot about that fight. So
yeah, but he's lost 2 out of his last 3. Then you could say,
yeah, two out of the last 3. The 2 fights that are significant, I'd say. Like the Cerrone fight was more of a warm up fight, and I have my thoughts on Cerrone at the moment. But anyway, yeah, I feel like it would be. If you win against McGregor now, it's not going to mean as much.
Yeah, it's not the elite, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's waiting. I think basically what I said in so many words is he wants that fight, just not yet. I think he basically wants McGregor to go out, win a fight, gain some of that, momentum back, the fans back, and
the thing is, the worst thing what happened was when McGregor lost to Nate the first time. The worst thing for the UFC, probably the worst thing for McGregor, because technically, talent-wise, the better fighter is McGregor. But McGregor is a much better fighter than what Nate Diaz is. He's striking everything. But MMA is a world where anyone can lose. You have an elite few people who don't lose, but it's very, very elite. So it's like, he did lose that fight, and he was like the biggest star going, and he still was after that. Won his rematch, sort of, got his all back on side. Won a few more, lost to Khabib.
The Khabib thing was probably, he needed a
rematch with Khabib. Like, he needed to answer that straight away. Didn't he? He needed that soon. But Khabib was like, I ain't giving you one at all. He flat out refused, didn't he? So.
With the Diaz fight, I feel like he bounced back in such a big way for that fight. I felt like, in fact, the loss probably saved him quite well in terms of
fans. He was much sharper. He was much sharper because Diaz in the first fight, he was like doing this, and then he tried doing it on the second fight, and McGregor was already hit him twice when he was just lifting up his hand to stick his finger up. He looked dead sharp, and he did. He'd come back because he learned from that mistake.
Yeah,
he learned, and I think that's what Khabib might have been a bit worried about, learning from that mistake.
Yeah,
McGregor fights Poirier now. If he fights Poirier now, he learns from what happened before. He got beat by a calf. He won't allow that happen again. I know for a fact he won't. But it probably will be. The Poirier fight will be the next one, to be fair.
Do you think that's going to be the fight then? The fight that he's going to get?
I think it'd be better if it was Nate or Nathan. But with you saying that he's flat out refused it, then I can't see why anyone would refuse the Conor fight because money wise.
Because he said the worst thing he did after that first fight was taking the rematch, and he said certain fighter. He was talking about like how certain fighters get this special privilege, and McGregor was getting this special privilege. But I think Diaz has got a bit of a respect for McGregor after fighting him and going through all what he did, and I think he's got that. You have made me money, so I'm not going to be fighting that feeds too much.
A lot of people have not heard of Nate who've heard of him now. It's like
he was a cult fighter, wasn't he? Let's face it, he was a cult fighter. But what I think that did for Nate is the rematch was the worst thing he could have done. I think in terms of after that, it's not set him up like they won for one, but. Who's come out with the bigger fight since then? It's been McGregor, not Diaz. In fact, like because they now 1 for 1, everyone's leaning towards McGregor's the better fighter because he revenged that. But they're not saying okay, they 1 for 1, they need to do it one more time. And it was a close second fight.
It was a second fight.
It wasn't a clear victory.
And Nate finished him on the first one. It's just that talent-wise. The talent-wise, the flair and stuff like that, massively. You can see that though. You can see there is a difference, can't they? So
I love Nate Diaz fighting though. Like Nate Diaz.
Don't get me wrong. He's as tough as bricks, isn't he? He's like.
Did you read that? What he put about the lightweight division? He said, "No one's done me like they've all done you. Like to Conor, to Dusty, and to all the fighters. They've all been knocked out and brutalized and choked out." And he said, "No one's done me like that. No lightweight has done me like that, or no welterweight has done me like that. I've never been choked out. I've never been like all his losses are like." Close decision losses or decision losses. They're not. He is one of like
the Masvidal one was pretty one-sided. To be fair,
but he was stopped there, wasn't it? Like he didn't quit. He didn't get knocked out.
No, he didn't quit. Don't
forget, he always comes later on. Like this is the argument that we're having about like it's dead shady that they cut that fight. And he was saying what they were asking about the Masvidal rematch, but. Masvidal isn't looking to go down that road, so Nate Diaz isn't bothered. He's not bothered. He's moving on.
What's happened to that BMF belt? They're not.
Oh well, Diaz was saying he wants to win that back at some point. So hopefully, is that
belt what's still going? Because it's only been contested once, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's only been contested. I don't think they will. They should though. I think they should have ran with that idea. I think that would have been brilliant.
We should just keep on, and then just like you could have the BMF belt. Right, should be about what has no weight divisions.
Yeah.
So basically, can you imagine if they had it like right? Go on, the baddest motherfuckers. You got some little mouthy Cejudo doing something. Who thinks he's the Triple C coming up against fucking Usman or something like that because he wants part for the BMF as well. It's like it'd be a pisser because that isn't a welterweight champion, a heavyweight champion. That's a general. So BMF is the baddest motherfuckers. So it's just like. Well, go on then. Who's the baddest motherfucking fight whoever you want? You're grown men, aren't you? Just go for it.
No, it would be funny. But moving on from the BMF, I was listening to
Cejudo versus Franny for the BMF and Gano versus Cejudo. Can you imagine that?
The size difference.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there'll be limits to it, but you know, we've seen it in Russia with that £600 dude fighting that woman, haven't we? So
yeah, that was. I've seen quite a lot of them on YouTube popping up lately, actually. Yeah, moving on. TJ Dillashaw's moving closer and closer to his return, and Corey Sandhagen came out this week and he was saying that he should be banned for life. He don't want to see him ever back in the sport.
I'd like to see a flying knee off Sandhagen on TJ. Then
I never even really thought about that matchup as a possibility. But now the more I'm thinking about it, I'd love to see that because they were ex teammates, weren't they? They were both teammates at one point, and Sandhagen was saying that the shit that he was taking, like, we're not talking about like just steroids. We were talking about he was taking the baddest, like, you know, the most performance enhancing drugs that you could take on the market. TJ Dillashaw was actually taking, and we're not the fact that he's only had this like, don't forget, Nick Diaz got banned for 5 years for weed. Marijuana, and that's just being legalized. You know, you saw it. Have just come out and said, right, we're legalizing it. It's fighters can, and he got banned for 5 years. Now you've got TJ Dillashaw, who's taking the biggest performance enhancing drugs on the market, and he's still allowed to fight. That's shady. That's shady.
Why is Dillashaw? Is he sucking Dana off? Is Dillashaw? Has he got like? Is he Dana's little bitch boy? Because it seems like he's always been looked after, hasn't he? On everything, and he's an absolute cock. I can't stand Dillashaw. I can't. I really hate him. I wanted Cody beat him so bad when he fought Cody, and I was so gutted when he got knocked out.
You know what? As much as I can't stand Dillashaw, and he doesn't deserve to be in the UFC anymore for what he did and the things that he's done. I love watching him fight. He's a great fighter.
It away. Yeah, because he's fucking juiced up on everything. I know he's bouncing around the place. I mean, that's why Brock will never fight.
Yeah, he'll never fight again because he's on so much.
He's on too much stuff.
I can't wait for you know what, the Cejudo Dillashaw fight was possibly the best fight ever. And
for so much satisfaction out of fucking Cejudo.
I know. I loved him for that moment. And the great moment for him is he got busted for those steroids after that. He got busted for those steroids, and he can say he beat him when he was juiced up to the fucking gills. He was completely juiced up, and he knocked him out, clean out.
That moment, Dillashaw was like begging the ref. He was like, "No, you did it too early." He's like, "Fuck off, TJ. You just got that clean out." Can't stand him.
He got shaken on that one, didn't he? Like he was getting bounced around the cage with each blow. It was a wonderful.
It was so knockout. Quick. It was like it was dead quick as well, and it was over. It's like I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was one of the most enjoyable
knockouts. Yeah,
knockouts. That was. I think
that was.
It's up there. I'm going to make a list top 5 most enjoyable.
Yeah, because we have like the best knockouts, like visualized,
the flashiest one.
But then the feeling, the most enjoyable, like that's what we want. Yeah, we'll do. That's a good episode. In fact, we're going to do an episode. I'll pull up the videos and we'll get all that done, and we'll make a list. And I'll make a list. You'll make a list, and then we'll have to
see if they compare.
We'll judge them, and we'll make a top 10.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll do. We'll do a top 10 on enjoyable knockouts. I like that idea. And any other news before we wrap this episode up?
I think we've covered everything there, haven't we? Like I say, we're just looking forward to this next one coming up now. Yeah. I think there'll be some surprises in that. It'll be interesting if Usman dominates Burns.
Yeah.
On the wrestling and on the BJJ. If Usman does what Usman does to pretty much everyone else on Burns, then it's GOAT status for him. I don't know who could challenge him then.
I don't know. I really don't know who could challenge him unless Chimaev ends up being this like product, like
he is that good. Yeah, because he could be. We don't know. We haven't been touched yet.
we haven't seen. He hasn't fought anyone, has he? Really, he's not really fought anyone for us to judge him off. But yeah, I mean, I'm exactly with you. I do think he should be in GOAT status at least approaching it. Like, he is phenomenal, and people write him off. And I feel like GSP should be looking at that fight. It's just, I think it's...
that'd be nice. Once if he's like, GSP had them both, beats Khabib, and then he has the Usman one. You could potentially do that. They're the ones that are going to interest GSP, aren't they? Like, they're the only fights.
Exactly. I don't know what Usman could do to excel himself into that elite status of like popularity. Because he's got the skills, like without a shadow of a doubt, he has got the skills, and he is a great champion, a great fighter. He's an elite fighter, and I just don't know what he could do to propel himself to that next level. Because if he fought Khabib or he fought McGregor,
well, I'd imagine he'd go up, wouldn't he? Like, as in, he'd fight maybe Adesanya at middle or something like that.
But then, like, he'll never fight Adesanya because they've got like a massive respect for the Nigerian thing. Like, you know, they're both Nigerian. So, I don't think they would like they're very close. Like, outside of, you know, even though they're not the same fight camp, they are fight team. They are very close. So I don't think they would ever fight.
Have you seen the size of Adesanya?
He's looking big, isn't he? He's looking big.
And he hasn't beefed up loads. I thought I was expecting him to put on a lot of weight and thinking.
I wasn't expecting him to put on too much weight purely because he needs.
He's still got to go back down. Yeah. He's still got to go back down as well if he's planning on fighting at middleweight as well. So we can't go too nuts because losing there. But I thought he'd look bigger. I did think he'd look bigger. He still looks pretty scared. I don't know if he will what he'll come in at, but. Depends. Exciting, man.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we've got a good year. I mean, especially with Bellator doing what they're doing. Like, we're going to have pretty much like back-to-back MMA weeks, aren't we? We're going to have like Friday, Saturday night.
If Bellator are clever there, then what you do, you have your UFC. You sort of try and alternate it, don't you? Because you don't want them clashing, because it's going to affect both ratings if they clash.
I didn't think it would too much if you put the right ones on the right days.
No, but it'll affect the other one's rating then, won't it? So if Bellator are thinking, right, and we'll go with the heavyweights here, I mean, on different days, it'd be fine if it was like on a Friday, Saturday. But if they're both on, like I say, early hours of Sunday morning or something like that.
But they won't now, will they? Because that's the schedule. It's always going to be Fridays.
If it's always Fridays, then that's great. Yeah. You can have a really good weekend then of MMA, can't you?
We're going to be loved, aren't we, with the families?
Can't be done to factors then. I'll be staying in all weekend anyway, watching UFC and Bellator. Yeah. So.
Right.
On that note,
we'll wrap it up there. So we're nice to see you, Keith. And for the fans listening, drop us a like, get commenting. If you agree, disagree, let us know. Tell us what you think. It would be nice to hear some fans' reactions on this. Who are you with? Are you with Usman? Are you with Burns? What do you think of the Leon Edwards situation? Drop us some comments, let us know. And subscribe. It costs you nothing. And we're not going anywhere. So we'll see you next week. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
So here's to the fighters, the fans and the game. Here's to the blood, sweat and tears and the fame. And here's to Azinki, you ready to go on the brutally honest MMA show.